Welcome to another episode of Zoolander E. I'm Zoolander.
And I'm E.
Wow, I'm glad we got that figured out. I would hate for our audience to mix up me and you because, we're so different because, I'm light skinned and you're dark skinned.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't want anybody, I got hips, you got nothing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want anybody out there to be like,
confusion.
Yeah, I don't know who is who. Like, they're so confusing. Why don't they just keep it simple? The reason why we are bringing you here today is because we want to talk about a subject that we feel needs a deeper dive, and that is the concept of friends with benefits.
Wah, wah, wah.
Wow, very good sound effect. I'll be sure to edit that into the final copy of this video. Have you ever had a friends with benefits situation?
No,
Why not?
Because I'm emotionally vested. I'm an emotional being. Everything I do is based on emotions. I've never just had sex just to have sex or to fulfill a need. It's always attached to love and energy and emotions. So I wouldn't be good with friends with benefits because that would mean that I would need to love that person in a romantic way.
So it's almost like for you, there has to be love. There has to be a true connection there. And that makes sense because I think when it comes to friends with benefits, there should be a connection. But I think where it gets a little bit tricky for me in the dating world is that it's hard to lead with that as like, this is going to be the height of our relationship. This is the extent of where it's going to go, because I feel like there are some women out there that might feel like that's a bit demoralizing, like that's beneath them or that's embarrassing if the highest they can go in a relationship is friends with benefits. It's almost like there's some shame that they attach to it.
See, I don't think women think that there's shame attached to it. I just think that most women are emotional based. Like, they're emotional beings. I think that you can define it. If you can define sex as just sex, like sex as an act, I'm having sex to bust a nut. That's different, right?
Right.
Or you're just, making love.
Okay.
So it would depend on how the person defines it. Like, if as a woman, if you can say, I got a need and that person is going to fulfill my need, then that's fine. And I don't think that we think that there's anything demoralizing about that. It's just that I don't think that many women feel that way.
So for you, let's just not look at anything current, but let's just take your whole dating life into account. Has sex always been you have to love the person in order to do it?
Yes.
So that's how it's been with you? Okay.
Yeah, for me. And I know that's probably not normal, or, maybe it is. I don't really know. But for me, if I am giving myself to you, it's not something that everyone can say like, oh yeah, I've done that. No, if I'm giving myself to you, it's a prize, it's something coveted, it's something that not many people can say they've had. So if I'm doing that, there has to be some type of emotional connection or love attached to that, because as we're performing sexual acts or we're being intimate, that's me showing you my love. That's me expressing love through my body.
So I think with me, part of the reason why I struggle with this in my early 30s, almost mid 30s now, is because I was kind of a late bloomer and I didn't really start dating until, wait, I'm about to tell all
so
my
what
business.
He's saying is, what he's trying to say is, he had his hoe phase late in life.
Oh, man.
Because you didn't have it, and then you was like, oh, I'm a whole hoe.
Well, let's just say, you say had past tense.
You're in the midst of your hoe phase. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, hoe phase.
I don't like labels like hoe phase, but what I would say is that I'm keeping my options open, and before I become emotionally invested in someone, I'm trying to be realistic about going into a relationship. And I think what happens is, we talked about in our first episode about honesty. I just want honesty. Be honest with me. That's something I hear from women a lot, but I still find it hard to be 100% honest in my pursuit of love or sex, because I feel like I might scare someone off. And maybe for me, it might be some kind of fear of rejection, or maybe because the pursuit, the chase is so captivating, even if you know that it's not going to go to sex, or it's not going to go to, oh yeah, we're boyfriend and girlfriend. Because sometimes it is sex, but sometimes it's just really that intimacy and having someone that has your back. And I think for me, that what happens is sometimes I'm like, yeah, before this gets really bad, let me just enjoy the chase. And once the chase ends, at least I got a cheap thrill out of it, which really is kind of pathetic when you think about it. But I think it's kind of a thing that some other guys might identify with, maybe even some women too.
Right. Well, do you know what you are looking for? Because sometimes if you're just looking for sex, that's okay.
So the difference between E and myself is that E is on social media mostly for business purposes, and she has some friends that she connects with, but she doesn't overindulge in social media. Me, I'm on there all the time, and what ends up
all the time.
Right, but it's cool. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm trying to become a content creator, so because if I'm going to be on this shit all day, then I might as well figure out a way to manipulate the can't say the word algorithms. I might as well figure out a way to manipulate the algorithms for my best interests. Okay. But I think when I'm on social media, what happens is we tend to paint a really unrealistic picture of things. And for me, I agree with you that it's okay if someone just says, I just want sex. The problem is, in my experience at least, and it could be my approach, so I'm not trying to act like I'm not at fault for the responses that I get back. Right. But I don't feel like I don't see the market as far as women or let me tell you what I see. When I'm on these dating apps and stuff, it's a scary place out there, because most women are like,
How many dating apps are you on?
Well, we're getting a little bit, let's see. Okay, I don't care. This is a podcast, so you're supposed to share.
Yeah, I need
to know. There's Tinder, there's Bumble, there's Hinge. I have OkCupid, but I don't really use it. And eHarmony is a bunch of bullshit.
Christian Mingle?
Nah. I don't want them because they might be celibate. But anyway, and I might just say something about sex for the hell of it. Hey, that's a joke. Anyway, let's stay focused. But yeah, so with eHarmony, they really tricked me, because I thought that I was signing up for a one month subscription. I thought that's what I was doing with eHarmony. Come to find out, they got me for a whole year because my dumb ass didn't read the fine print. So I got eHarmony, and let's just say that it's some ugly people on eHarmony. But anyway, to get back to what I'm saying, when I'm on these dating apps, I see women most of the women I see are like, look, if you looking for sex, then just scroll left. Don't come over here, you won't get near. They don't say that corny like that, but it'll be something like that. So I'd be like, all right, that's one camp. But then there's a very, very small percentage, and that small percentage will be like, oh yeah, I'm with that shit. But then when you see them, they usually look like they're like, they don't bathe, and that they might have some kind of STD or something. So it's one of those things where I think that it would be great to have someone who I'm attracted to, not just from the physical, but even from their profile, reading some things that we could connect on. Because one thing I'll definitely agree with you on is that sex is definitely about the exchange of energy and emotions. And I feel like even if it is just sex, we still need to be connected.
Right.
And I feel like what happens is, because most women on the dating apps aren't really looking, or they're not explicitly looking for sex on their profiles, then what ends up happening is you end up just encountering women that you want to get some kind of connection, so you start swiping people, even if you know that based on what you see in a snapshot, you're not really compatible. Yeah, so I think with me, it's always, or I won't say always, but oftentimes it feels like trying to put a square peg into a round hole. We embrace Cardi and Meg Thee Stallion and Nicki and whoever. We embrace them in that way. But I think a lot of times we say that, but quietly a lot of us are still really, really conservative when it comes to that. And the women that I come in contact with, they're not, they love Cardi B's music, but they're not really Cardi B in their personal lives.
But is that a negative?
It's not a negative, but I'm just saying though, sometimes it can be a bit confusing, because I've seen, and I'm not one of these men that does this, but I've seen men say like, "Yo, what are they teaching our little girls? This is horrible. What are they teaching them?" And then the women that like Cardi B or Meg, they'll be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? Like they can do like you shouldn't be looking at them as role models anyway. Rihanna's not a role model." They'll say stuff like that, but then it's almost like they are comfortable talking about sexuality and those kind of things. It feels like when it's a celebrity, because a celebrity is an easy target. But then it's like when I bring it to you, it's like, oh. And for me, I'm not blaming women for that, but I'm just saying there's a glitch in me that sometimes misreads that and thinks that, all right, well, since you post about Cardi, you post about Meg, and you post about how they liberated all this, I can come at you a certain way. And sometimes it just doesn't work out because I might be approaching it in the wrong way.
Well, I think even if that they were that outward with their sexuality, you would still be approaching it the wrong way because no one wants to be approached in that way. I think we talked about that before. Like I'm sure Meg and Cardi don't want to be approached as just a sex object.
If someone is viewing them as a sexual object first, or a sexual whatever you want to say first, I think kind of like what we talked about last time as far as putting out energy and stuff.
Right.
I'm not saying now like we, just to clarify, we're not talking about harassment, abuse, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying it's hard when your lyrics, when your brand and those kind of things, they reflect a certain thing.
Right.
And that's why, to me, with celebrities a little bit different, because they're actually selling, like Beyonce can sell, yeah, me and Jay-Z ain't together, buy my album. So it's kind of like a different thing. But there's a difference, obviously, between women on the street or women every day on dating apps and just in the real world versus a Cardi B and Meg. And they should still be respected as women. But I think they also understand that outside of anything that's considered abuse, that men are going to view them as like
sexual objects.
Right. But that's I think I brought that up just because I'm looking at some of the women that I see that listen to the music, and I see like women that will be like, you know what, I'm righteous and ratchet, or I'm sophisticated and ratchet and stuff like that. And you can be that, but sometimes just be getting confused.
Well, I think that's more. I think that's less on the women and more on the males.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me, you can be that way. You can be a sexual object. But for me, I can only do that if I am vulnerable with the person. But to be vulnerable with the person, there has to be some type of safety. Mm-hmm. You know, like with any vulnerability, you can only be that way, or you should want to be that way with someone that you trust. It comes down to trust. If I don't know you, how can I trust you? Which means I can't really be vulnerable, which means I can't let the freaky side out because I don't even trust you or know you to protect that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I hear you. I'm just thinking.
So they might be that way, but just because they don't put it out there doesn't mean they're that way. Lady in the street, freaking the sheets.
Yeah, I'm glad you quoted that. I've never heard that before. So to move away from just the conversation about friends with benefits, I wanted to talk about the friend zone, and more specifically, I wanted to talk about friendships between men and women. Can that actually happen?
I don't know. I mean, I have males that I have considered my friend, for sure. But what I always find, and it is actually super, super disappointing, when I have a guy and I'm like, yeah, that's the homie. Like, yeah, that's, bro, blah, blah, blah. And then they, like, later on, some way, somehow, they, like, want to hit on you. Like, no, why do you have to ruin it? Like, we're vibing, it's cool. Like, let's just be cool. And then, it just always seems like, here they come with the, like, sexual or, like, I don't ever discuss my relationship. Like, I can't discuss my relationship with a man because if I do, then that means that they're going to
weaponize it. They're going to use it to their advantage.
Right. So I don't know if it can happen.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
I think it's difficult, and I think that we try to simplify it and make it look like it's easy. And I don't think that it is, because one thing that I used to think about is, and this might come off as politically incorrect, but who cares? Because this is just a podcast. And if you're taking everything we're saying at face value, then you, my friend, are stupid. But I digress. So I'm thinking about Let me get my thoughts together. I'm acting like you now. Oh shit! All right, wait. We talking about friend zone. Right. So men and women being friends with one another. So here's my thing. Are you? I won't speak for all guys. I'll speak for myself. But as one guy, I feel like when I see a woman that's attractive, my first thought isn't, yo, she would be a great friend. I need another friend like her. She's so attractive. Because the thing is, what I see is that your physical appearance, while it's not the complete person that you are, it is the first thing that we see. So, or that anyone sees. And I'm not just making this specific to men. I'm just saying anyone, it's like, oh, I'm meeting somebody for the first time. Right. So I'm looking at them. And my thing is, like, I feel like I tend to be friends with women that I'm attracted to. But then it only becomes a friendship after they've already kind of drawn a line saying this is as far as it's going to go.
But do you go into meeting people every time with the idea that you would want a relationship with that person?
Well, I think it depends on where I am in my thirst, if you will, or
like
my
right
or
now
my
in your hoe phase. Are you like when you meet someone? Is that what you're thinking? Like, I want to be in a relationship with that person, or I want to be sexual with that person?
So to answer that directly, how I feel is that it's hard. I feel like even a friends with benefits situation is still a relationship, and right. I feel like what happens is like I have to. And I don't know if we talked about this on the last podcast, but the whole concept of showing that you care. I feel like I have to show that I care even to get to where I ultimately want to be. And that's a terrible way to think, but it's reality. Because for me, I think that if I see someone that I'm attracted to, now, let me say it like this. I want more than just sex, but I can't guarantee that me and you are going to be walking down the aisle. And I think that, not saying, I won't say all or most or many, I won't say anything like that. But quite a few women that I come in contact with, they want to be wooed and they want to be treated as if like, oh yeah, like you're the queen and you're exalted. And for me, I get that, but I feel like some of that old school courting stuff, while it's important and chivalry is a real thing, and I don't think like it should completely go away. I also feel like though, sometimes it's like I'm doing all this and it's just like, but if I just want to smash, but you don't want me to say I just want to smash. So then it comes this thing where it's like, you know how people are like playing the house where it's like we're playing boyfriend and girlfriend. So I'm telling you, hey, let's go to the movie. Let's go to the art gallery. Back on my mind, I want to smash. Let's do this. Let's do that. I want to smash. And I just feel like, we're going through a lot of theatrics right now when what I want most, it doesn't really, in my mind, doesn't really require all of that energy. However, if you come off and just say, yeah, I just want to smash. Okay, next. And it's just, it becomes a cycle.
Yeah, I mean, because if that's not where they are, being in a relationship or in any type of relationship, like you said, friends or benefits or otherwise, if you're trying to smash, and that's not where they are, there has to be some type of compromise. It can't be like, oh, I want to smash, so fuck it. You know what I mean?
Right. It does have to be a compromise. But what I'm finding, though, is that with this whole show that you care type of thing, that's when stuff gets murky. Because now, because I think there are women out there, for the record, I think there are women out there that a man can just be straight up and honest with and be like, yo, I want to smash. She'll process it and be like, okay, yeah, that's cool with me. Or no, I don't know you like that. And then, everybody can move and make educated moves based on the fact that we cleared the air.
Right.
But I feel like some people, I'll give you an example. There's this one woman that I know that we just keep kind of bumping into each other. Whereas we match with each other on a dating app and we follow each other on social media and we might passive aggressively one of the posts that the other one made, and then we start talking and it's like, yo, we should hang out. And then on her end, it's like, what did you have in mind? And then when she says, what do you have in mind? Then I'm thinking, all right, it's COVID-19. I mean, maybe get something to eat. But it's just kind of like, I think with her, I'm using her as an example, not to represent all women, but just in this specific situation, she's kind of like, well, come up with something. And it's just like, but I don't know you. And if I said get something to eat, but then you're like, all right, well, just plan something. And I feel like sometimes what really sucks about being I don't know if I want to put it on being a millennial and dating in 2020, but I am a millennial. I do fall into that category. And I feel like what's tough is that social media makes it social media and just the culture of like fast food, everything just makes it easy for us to be picky and kind of and when we're picky, then that can lead to indecision. And if we're being indecisive, then we're never going to go anywhere. And I feel like what happens is that social media allows you to stay connected with people without actually working on your relationship. So what ends up happening, like with me and this woman that I'm telling you about, is like we keep bumping into each other, but it's like a meal built on artificial ingredients. And I feel like that's someone, this woman we've talked about sex and all this kind of stuff too. But I think what she wants to do is kind of like retroactively be like, all right, let's go out on a date. And I just feel like it's not that you don't deserve a date, but me and you were talking about sex and you entertained it. I'm not saying like I feel what you said earlier about if I want to have sex and she's not in that place, then you can't just keep like trying to make that happen, because that's going to be uncomfortable. Then at some point it's going to become harassment. So I understand that, but I'm talking also about how stuff can get a little bit cloudy, I think, with social media and just with dating apps, just because sometimes people, they will entertain and they'll listen and they'll see where your energy is coming from, and then they'll be like, all right, I've had enough, which is fine because everybody has the right to say, yeah, I've had enough of this. But then it's like, but then why do we keep bumping into each other? Because it's like we don't have to, because it's like if you feel that way, I get you, but we don't have to keep bumping into each other. But it's just something that happens, and then I'll be like, all right, let's hang out. And then one last thing I'll say is that words are so triggering, because it's like, obviously come through in most women's handbook is not going to work, because you got to build up to be able to say come
hang
through.
Out.
Right, so it's hang out. But then it's just like, but then you just start, I got to stop scratching myself on camera. But anyway, then you start like finding alternative words. You start looking, and this is what I'm saying about this whole show you care and trickery type stuff. Okay, let's link. Let's meet up. Let me take you out on a date. And it's just that sometimes let me take you out on a date is not really how I'm feeling. But because of what I see on social media, you got to treat women this way and you got to come at them this way.
I disagree.
It gets a little bit
I think that's
difficult.
Just, again, it goes back to what the person is not demanding of you, but what the person's expectations are. And just because we maybe have joked around about sex or talked about sex, maybe I'm just okay with speaking about it, but I still want to be courted.
Right.
Are you saying I don't deserve that because we've had a conversation about sex?
No, you deserve to be courted, but I'm saying if the conversation has gone a certain way, and the thing is, because you understand boundaries, and we understand that we establish boundaries, and somebody, like you said before, if somebody gets out of pocket, they're getting blocked, you're not going back and forth with them. What I'm saying is that not all, but there are some women that don't quite function that way. So it allows for things to fester, and we don't have to say kids, we don't have to say men or women, we don't have to specify it to one demographic in particular. But I just feel like human nature in general is that if your boss says, hey, take a long lunch, if you have a boss and they say take a long lunch or a longer lunch than normal, then most of us, not all of us, but most of us are going to take advantage of that and be like, yo, he gave me an extra half hour, or she gave me an extra half hour. I think I'm going to take that. And I feel like the same thing applies to the concept of establishing boundaries with people. So with you, to use you specifically, no, it's not that you don't deserve to be courted. However, if I have said something, I have come at you with a certain energy, and it hasn't been like clearly shut down by you,
oh, I see.
Then
that's where you can be confused at.
Right, because now it's like we didn't talk about everything. Because I'll just say with some women, and I'm not saying that I'm right or I'm a saint or anything, but with some women, it's just like they will let me talk about all this different kind of stuff and intricacies. It's like, oh, you like to give head and all that stuff. And it's just like at that point, all right, but I need you to take me out on a date. And it's just like, and I'll be like, okay, but I'll be thinking like, I don't see you that way.
But then why don't you say that?
Right, that's
I don't see you that way. If you don't see that person, why are you wasting the time?
Well, it goes back. I don't know if you were paying attention to when that one woman was talking about how she wanted to date a 6-figure man, and she went on the guy's show, and he basically told her about herself, and and the internet was up in arms about it because his tone was really harsh and blunt. But the other thing is that if you go seeking advice about something and he's saying like, yo, you're average looking, you got kids, like they're not going to be checking for you like that. Well, it's like you got to be careful. It's like the same reason why whether it's a male friend or even some female friends that you have, you're not telling every single one of them the intricacies of your relationship.
Right.
And we're back. What's up?
What up?
Okay.
No, cut that out.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. As a great man once said to a woman that he was interested in, whatever you're into, it's okay. So, friends, how many of us have them? Friends.
We're talking about if men and women can be friends.
The ones you can depend on. Go ahead. Friends. All right, I'm done. All right, go ahead. All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you was about to break it down.
No,
go
I was
ahead.
just saying, we're talking about if men and women can be. I want to know from a man's point of view, do you think that men and women can be friends? And don't see what you often do is blame the women. What you did last segment was talk about how it's confusing and the women. But from a man's point of view, do you ever go into meeting someone or a relationship just not thinking sexual?
Yeah, but so here's how I feel, especially as a single guy. I mean, obviously, I think you should be, if we want to use terms like stand-up guy, you should be someone that's trying to do the right thing, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're single. Right. So I understand that basic premise. However, I also will admit that when you are in a relationship, it does simplify things a lot more, because if you are pursuing a friendship with a woman, it has to be extremely intentional, and it can't be anything that could compromise the foundation of your relationship that you have with your significant other. So I get that. But to answer your question, taking a long way, to answer your question, I do feel like men and women can be friends with one another.
Right.
But I feel like the best friends are very open with each other, and they can be vulnerable with each other. And you talked earlier about, when we were talking about friends with benefits, about how even though you've never done that, if you were even considering doing that, you wouldn't do it with someone that you didn't have a level of trust with.
Right. Absolutely.
So I feel like with being friends with someone, it's kind of like that same thing, where if we're talking to each other and we can be open and honest and really not just kind of say what's politically correct or say what we feel like will have a softer landing after we give you this news. Like, I feel like if we can just be 100% real with each other, then we can be friends. But my thing, is just from the standpoint of, I'm at the club or wherever. It doesn't have to be the club, because we meet people all over the place.
Right.
I'm at the club. I'm at Starbucks. I'm at the grocery store. Wherever I'm at, if I see somebody, then I'm just saying, for me, especially as a single man, when I'm thinking about the needs that I have that could be not exclusively just sexual, but they're sexual, they're emotional,
But are you thinking all of that within the first, encounter with a person?
Well, I'm thinking if I'm attracted to you, and not attracted to you in a way where it's like, oh, she got some big ass titties or something, but attracted to you, as far as, because for me, when I'm attracted to somebody and I'm thinking about them in a more serious light, then it's more than just what their physical attributes are. It also might be like, oh, I see that she's reading this magazine, or we're in Barnes and Noble and she's reading this kind of book, and I might see something like that. So for me, as a single guy, that at this point, I think what it is that I wouldn't mind being in a relationship, but I also wouldn't mind if the relationship isn't, and this is how we get into trouble, but there are different words like situationship, whatever you want to call it. I'm someone right now that understands that I'm a weird person. I have a bunch of different needs. And if I see someone and I'm attracted to them first physically, then I would at least want to hear their voice. And then after I hear their voice, I would want to talk to them. And at that point, I feel like it becomes this thing where I'm supposed to tell myself, all right, just try to be friends. It's almost like, I don't know if this is going to be the best analogy, but it's kind of like watching a football game and it's 3rd and 5, and you know all you need is 5 yards to get the first down, but you're trying to go for the kill and you're going for 30. And sometimes when you go too deep, you can be like, yo, that's all you needed. So somehow this connects. I'm gonna make it make sense. But I think what I'm trying to say is that even though the 5 yards is all I need to get like that initial connection, so it's like, all right, me and you, we like the same author or something like that, and that's cool. Like, I feel like I know what I need overall, and what ends up happening for me, and I don't know if there are women that experience this too, is I feel like I'm settling, and not so much like settling like sometimes I think we talk about settling as far as a married couple, and it's like, I settled for you, like I could have been married to this person. But also think about it as far as suppressing my own needs just because it's like getting the fast food because it's available, even though you know.
So what needs do you feel like you're suppressing? Your sexual needs.
Right. But
do you feel like you have to have sex with everybody that, okay, so let's say you meet someone, you like them, you hit it off, great personality. What if that person isn't sexual? Like they're not ready to have sex, or they have a, some women have a 3-month thing, or some men,
like John Clayton.
Yeah, or they're not exactly.
Yeah,
or they're not. Okay, so what if that happens? Then what do? Do you feel like you're settling?
Yeah, well, yeah. I feel like if I'm going to continue to entertain the.
Would you continue? Would you?
I have. I'm not going to act like I haven't. That's a flaw, because if ultimately you know that this is a dead end, or you know that you just both of you aren't in the same place, then you should just bow out. But then I think for me, some people, I think they deal with the fear of rejection. They're scared, like, okay, they're going to get their feelings hurt. Then there's others of us that have, I think, this fear of not loneliness. I mean, Beyonce had a song back in the day called "Scared or Lonely," but I don't know. It's like this just the references. But it's just, I think this. So let me get deep here. I think for me, or I think a lot of people want to be seen and heard, and I think, and in my way, I say sex, and don't get me wrong, I think about that, and that is a need, but I also feel like when someone wants you and they're thinking about you, and you're no longer having to bother somebody, or like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, me? Nothing. Let's hang out. Oh, I got this going on. Oh, okay. All right, then. I'll see you later. And then it becomes like numbers in my phone that are just like these relationships that really don't go anywhere. And I get it. Like, hey, 1 minute we went to Olive Garden. Next minute I'm asking you to come over. That's inconsistent. I understand. I'm trying to change the nature of the relationship, and it might be a bit premature. But then what ends up happening is then a couple days later I text you and I ask you how you're doing. You're having a conversation with me like things are normal, but I know still in the back of my mind there's still something more that I need. And the only reason, in my mind, the only reason I'm really hitting you up is just because I know I've at some point fucked up some of the other connections that I've had. So a lot of this stuff, I agree with you. A lot of this stuff I'm speaking on as a man.
Personal experience.
Yeah.
Right.
As a man, I have to be accountable to myself and for where I am in my life, in my dating life, and where I'm not, and I have to take responsibility for that. I just feel like, for me though, the difficulty in trying to be friends with a woman first is something that I think, because I didn't grow up like really with the girl next door. I didn't grow up with kind of like...
You didn't have Topanga.
Right, I didn't. Right, and I love Topanga. But I didn't grow up with Topanga, and I think, not saying that guys that grow up with Topangas, they always get it right either, but I do think it's a little bit easier for them to parlay that basic connection of, hey, this is my friend, this is my homie, and it's okay to just be homies with somebody. And I think for me, I missed that part, and because I really didn't date as a teenager, I didn't date in high school at all. And in a vlog I'm going to be dropping soon, I'm going to talk about how I didn't dance with a girl for real until like my senior year in high school at my prom, and at that point, you know, she had been in the clubs and dancing and stuff, and me, I was kind of like more, I think about the times that I suppressed myself in high school, so then it's kind of like, to overcompensate for that, then it becomes like the flip of that, where it's like now, I see somebody and it's almost like, oh, I want it, like, let's go. So that's something where I have to modulate and get more in the middle of those two things.
Right. Because I mean, I think that everyone is, I mean, we're sexual beings, we're human beings, we're sexual beings. So of course we're going to be interested in sex from the other person, but I think we have to either pick up or slow down based on what that interest is. Because if Joan Clayton is telling you, I have a 3-month thing, you have no idea what that could be from personal trauma, that could be from, you know, a bad experience, and you could be possibly missing out on something because you just wanted to fuck. You know what I mean? And not saying you specifically, I'm saying that's just one of the issues that come with always wanting to put sex first. And some people sex on the first night and they know, hey, this is it for me, and it's okay, but I think you have to be able to adjust with the person that you're, you know, approaching. Yeah.
No, I hear you. I can't disagree.
We're gonna get it together.
Yeah.
We're gonna get them together.
Yes,
I ain't gonna tell you how he unfollowed me.
Well, see, that was because, like, so let me
tell the story. Yep.
Let me paint the picture. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm minding my own business on Facebook, not bothering anyone. Mm-hmm. When I look at, you know how Facebook has the people you may know group of friends that aren't your friends currently, but could become your friends if you add them and they add you back. Well, I see this light-skinned, gorgeous, weird-looking, gray-eyed, thick-thighed person with blonde hair that plays football and that has all of these cool things about her. And I see her, and I'm just like, looking kind of nice. Or like Mike Epps said in Friday After Next, I'm trying to see what that be like, you know, and I'm thinking that because, you know, it's just like, is that vanilla? Is that mocha? What flavor? What flavor is she? Butter pecan? Whatever she is, I'm like, oh yeah, I want some of that. So I add her. I'm like, all right, that's cool. All right, don't do too much right now. Just add her. And then, you know, you just go on about your business, and then your news feed starts to get taken over by this goddess, this blonde-haired goddess that is just posting pictures, and you know how selfies look. Oh, you don't? Let me show you. And the thing is, what I love about selfies is that they allow us to be our most basic selves, and they allow us to get the most basic of attention. I know, I've been there, and I'll see E put up a selfie. She'll be like, hey y'all, you know, another day, another dollar, gotta hit that grind. She'll put up something like that, and then like a million people be like, yo girl, you go girl, yo, you so smart. That's my sister, that's my sister. yo, that's my girl E. You got a problem with her, you got a problem with me.
You read my comments. That is what they be saying.
I mean, they do be saying that. Whatever you need, girl, I got you. One dude though, he took it too far. He was like, I drink your bathwater. And and then he got deleted. But anyway, so I'm seeing all this. So I'm like, all right, nice. Let me survey the land. Is there a ring on the finger? No. Is there a relationship? Who cares? Dive in. So then, you know, I start hitting her up in her inbox, and I'm just like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You funny. No, you got jokes. That's what Katie Albert did in Friday After Next. That's my shit though. Cause he be like, no, I usually kick him to the curb this time of year. Ha ha ha. You got jokes. And it's just like, I love that so much. It's so corny, but I love that so much. So, you know, we having our little you got jokes back and forth, and we're doing that. And then at some point, she tells me, but I am in a relationship. And I'm just like, vroom, vroom, vroom. And I'm like, yeah, this is where I get off. Check please. So
he stopped talking to me.
Yeah.
Or, like, we weren't talking.
Yeah, we weren't talking.
Just,
yeah. Ain't trying to get caught up in here.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
let's clarify.
Yeah, let's clarify. Right.
But and I didn't even know until today. Until today, he told me, "Oh, you know, I unfollowed you, nigga." What?
Right? Because
you unfollowed me. Why?
Because I had to. Because what was happening is that after I received the crushing news that me and you could not be an item, then what ended up happening is I had to pick up the pieces and I had to figure out my life, and I had to be like, all right, look, you don't want to harass her. You don't want to be like, hey, what you doing? That's cool.
So you
like Michael Jackson?
So he lacked the self-control.
Oh yeah.
To just be Facebook friends with me,
so
because I was in a relationship.
Right. So what I had to do is I had to unfollow to protect my own mental health, because what's going to happen is she going to be putting out these thick thigh pictures with her being like, hey y'all, I'm just tatted out today. Yo, work hard like me, you do it like E, or whatever she be saying. And then you know, I'm gonna have to see that every day on my timeline all the time. I have to see it and I'm gonna have to be like, ain't that girl you tried to talk to? Yeah.
But you could be missing out on a good friend.
I know, I could be missing out on a really good friend.
But nope, you unfollowed me, so.
Right. And luckily, our friendship came back together one time when I was doing a Facebook Live video, because see, here's what happens. So people with amazing bodies, they set thirst traps using their bodies. Me, I don't have all that body. So I have to set thirst traps using my personality. So what I do is, and I reeled you in. So what I do is I go on these live videos, I start giving you personality and energy and vigor and charisma. And then suddenly you can't help yourself and you have to comment. So what happened is, like the Pied Piper, you know, I started doing
trickery. He tricked me, basically, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. So, you know.
And he's still in the friend zone, so.
Right.
How well did that work?
Right. Well, I would say pretty well, because I'm in the friend zone, but I have a co-host and you're over at my personal studio doing this podcast with me because you cannot fight the magic of me. Anyway, so to get back to what we were talking about. So yeah, I go on live one day and she hops on live, you know, because she thinking like we still cool.
I didn't know, y'all.
I wasn't fucking with you like that. Because look, I ain't trying to get my ass whooped. You know what I'm saying? I'm skin and bones. You know what I'm saying? I've had road rage incidents where people follow me. I don't need niggas to know where I live.
You couldn't even be honest with me and be like, yo, I got to unfollow you then.
Right. No, you don't get that courtesy. The hell, nobody do that. You just dip. You slide out the back door quietly. You don't say, hey, thank you for the food and everything. Everything was great. No, you get the fuck up out of there. So that's what I did. I didn't want to get into any kind of weirdness where I feel triggered to hit you up and stuff like that. So yeah, she commented on one of my lives, and then I was talking about like Brandy and Monica, and I did a vlog, and then she was like, oh, I got to do the next one with you. And I was like, word.
Well, what happened? We were going back and forth. And I was trying to prove my point. You was trying to prove your point.
Right.
Because I'm Team Monica. You was all about Brandy.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm like, next time we just going to have to talk about this.
Right. And I'm still Team Brandy.
And I'm still Team Monica.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. But, yeah, no. It's like on this microphone, on this podcast, we are pre-Brandy. This has been a very spirited discussion that has gone a bunch of different places, but overall, I am very happy to have E as a co-host because she brings out the best in me, and I hope that I can reciprocate that same energy. So, as we bring this to a close, are there any final words that you have, E?
No. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, we did good.
Yeah, right? Yeah. We did good. So, at this point, I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And just know that this is only our second episode. We have some things that we're working on, and we're still evolving as far as our chemistry and as far as just...
So what he's trying to say is that we cut the tape early because he got a little hype talking about Jeezy and Gucci, and I had to sun him off screen. You know, we're going to cut that off. So that's cool, y'all. I didn't. Thank you for coming.
Wait, no, hold on.
Thanks for watching.
Hey, hold on.
Bless you. Wait,
hold on. This is my shit, homie. So look, check this out. So... what actually happened is that my technology, my camera over there, they heard the BS that was coming out of her mouth. And what my technology did on cue is it shut itself off so that it would no longer have to endure the tomfoolery that was coming out of her mouth.
The things we tell ourselves, right?
Yes, the things that we tell ourselves. Anyway, this has been another episode of Zoolander and E. We thank you all for paying attention, and
see you next time.
Yeah, see you next time.
Peace.
Nice break.
Don't touch me.
All right, don't touch me.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that was dope. This has been the extended version. I don't know why we keep doing this, but
I know we're done because
this is my buddy E right here, and I'm so happy
he can't
to
even
have
follow
her.
me on social media.
I do. I did. But I followed you on everything. We're good to go, and you're just my shining light in the star that I sometimes glance over your page, and I'm just like, oh, I wonder what E's doing. Oh, okay, I see you. All right, well, that's all for me right now. Don't want to cross any boundaries. Bye.